All right. Welcome everyone to our October meeting for the Inland SoCal Housing Collective. We have a great group today on the call. A lot of people coming. Um, Today we have two speakers who are going to be sharing. We have LaunchPad Collective. Are going to talk about their San Bernardino project as well as Riverside Housing Development Corporation, and they're going to talk about our the University Terrace Homes. And so, first up, we have LaunchPad. Robert, I saw that you were on, and I will go ahead and give you presenter rights because I knew you had a presentation to share. And so we could get started.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Melanie.
Mhm.
And thank you, Inland SoCal Housing Collective, for the opportunity to present Launchpad. And so I like to start by saying that everything we're building, I feel, starts with two, for me, fundamental truths. And that is that one, if the system failing the people, and the people need to build it. And then the second is that our existence is someone's radical imagination. We are living what was someone's vision once. And so, since I believe that to be true, then I believe our radical imagination can create the existence that our people deserve. And so, with that, I also start every presentation with our why. So, I'd like to share a 1 minute video. Oh, I got. I'd like to share a 1 minute video that captures the heart of why we do the work we do. So, uh,
When I told people I was going to Taft, they told me it was the country to get metal detectors. It was in the poorest neighborhood in New York. It has some of the most untapped potential of any place in the country.
Definitely, that's a girl who has the potential to get a scholarship.
I would love a scholarship for wrestling, and I'm gonna do it. I don't care if it hurts, if it burns. I want to get out of this low wage, minimum income environment. Just because I was born in the Bronx doesn't mean that I have to be a part of it.
The victories are small. Every day that they're in the wrestling room is a victory in and of itself. Yo, fight! They're not on the street. They're learning to push themselves. Those are all things that they can carry on for the rest of their lives. All right. That's right. We got nervous. Without struggle, there is no progress. And so that's every day, right? We're in the constant struggle.
Yeah, I'm still here, and like my mom kicked me out of her house. I don't have a steady home. So I'm always looking for something to spend the night. I've slept in trains. I've slept in motels. I've slept in staircases, rooftops, parks.
Right. And so that was, I was working in a program in New York City. That was over 10 years ago. That was 2013. And when I moved to San Bernardino, I saw that the issue was even more prevalent out here, the issue of housing insecurity for young people. And so out here, I've been to many COC meetings. I'm part of the COC. And the four statistics that to me that stand out the most are these right here, right? We have almost 40,000 McKinney-Vento students in San Bernardino County. Almost a third of former foster youth end up in jail within 2 years of leaving the system. Almost half of homeless adults experienced housing insecurity as young people. And then in San Bernardino City, at the point in time count, there were 43 youth who were unhoused, right? And so clearly, it's an issue, and we feel like we have a solution with the Launchpad. The Launchpad, I'll get into it, but has been addressing the vital conditions before, or working around this framework before it was really formalized. It's actually built into how Launchpad started, is with these fundamental truths right here, right? So we didn't build the Launchpad necessarily to fit the vital conditions, but the vital conditions describe exactly what we are trying to do. So I'm just going to share a 1 minute video from Mayor Tran just talking about, again, what the solution here is. Who's doing manage. Just a 1 minute.
San Bernardino's challenges are more than conventional solutions. They demand ambitious, innovative action. That's where LaunchPad comes in. LaunchPad offers a scalable model that integrates affordable housing with economic opportunities, such as micro retail, small scale manufacturing, commercial kitchens, workforce development. Designed with sustainability at its core, LaunchPad incorporates green building practices and carbon neutral technologies, aligning with California's ambitious climate. This innovative approach addresses systemic challenges
because we should have had
for inclusive, accessible, and environmentally responsible economic growth. It reinforces our commitment to investing in projects that provide holistic and forward-thinking development solutions.
All right, so she's talking about LaunchPad, which is what we're building, mixed use, which will elevate our community, ground floor, incubator type spaces, which I'll get into in a minute. And then upper floors is housing for youth aging out of foster care, Tay, and McKinney Vento. On the ground floor of our flagship site that is we're in pre-development on, 7,500 square feet on the ground floor, anchored by a commercial kitchen. We are going to have daycare on site and even an indoor shipping container farm. Above 32 units, 16 studios, 14 3-beds, and two bedrooms, a laundry room, and our tech room, which is being financed through a grant that we received from Spectrum. This is intended to be an economic hub. Our residents will have access to all of the businesses and opportunities on the ground floor through our partnerships, which I'll share right now. We're doing apprenticeships, accredited programs, all of it available to our residents. E-bike sharing for them. We're using modular construction, 100% electric, 100% solar. The idea is that the businesses on the ground floor aren't just providing goods and services, but also will serve as pathways for career pathways and entrepreneurship pathways. The idea and the hope is that our residents will be able to achieve some sort of financial and housing independence within 2 to 5 years. Most of you here know me as a housing advocate and really out here as a commercial and residential real estate broker. But my experience goes back over 27 years based out in New York. Worked at Deutsche Bank in real estate finance and then affordable housing. I've been on the board of a FQHC over 15 years as the treasurer. My team includes, and I'd say around May, we made a full-time pivot to development, which is what we're doing with LaunchPad. And so on our team, my full-time staff includes Yvette Romero, who's got over 15 years in healthcare, and in the last 5 in real estate. And then you all know Ruben. So he's been on with us full-time about 2 months now. We've got San Bernardino Community College District as a partner. They're kind of our anchor partner, providing essentially with them and Asociación de Emprendedoras, La Una, and our general contractor, S2A Modular, we're developing an accredited modular construction training program. Asociación is providing all sorts of TA. The idea is that graduates of their program will graduate into these incubator type spaces that we'll have on the ground floor, right? Again, it'll be anchored by a commercial kitchen. We're looking at creating a co-op in that space. So that's what we're doing there. We've got also the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce as a supporter. We've got private money. We've got, and I'll talk about our capital stack shortly, but we've got private investors as well as public monies that we're looking at. That's TKO Financial. With open arms, we'll be specifically working with our McKinney-Vento population and providing all sorts of supportive services from them. Right now, we own this 9.5 acres on East Highland and Del Rosa Avenue. We received 9 acres via through a donation, through a land donation by the private owner of it. We've since acquired another ½ acre adjacent, and so that LaunchPad community is right across the street from the TAB building, the McKee Family Health Center, so direct access to our residents. And so that LaunchPad community there is actually 3 acres, and so those 3 acres we intend to develop 4 launch pads. As I mentioned, the first launch pad is 10,500 on grade, 7,500 usable or rentable, and then 32 apartments above. We're using modular construction, so we intend to replicate it on those 3 acres 3 more times. In total, producing 128 residential units. And we're looking at ways, and I'll talk about it a little bit, but we're looking at ways on how to create co-ops in these opportunities, condos, even shared housing in there. And we're looking to break ground. We've just talking with our architects and civil engineer today. Definitely first quarter of 2026, early first quarter of 2026. Each building is costing $11 million. That includes the site development work as well as the modular pieces, which is the residential component, which is being done off-site. This does not include any financing or investor costs. This is straight really cost, and these are hard numbers. So we've actually got hard numbers from our contractors on this. And so as you see, $234,000 per door. Once it's finished, you won't be able to tell that it was built off-site. It's built stronger, better, more efficient. The building envelope is more efficient than stick built. So we're very excited about what we're building here. We're looking to do it LEED Gold certified. So that's our aim. This is our capital stack for the $11 million. We have $5.5 million committed already from TKO Financial Partners. Of that 5.5, we've received $2 million thus far for the development. We expect to be receiving the remainder 3.5 in phases within the next 3 to 4 months. We are looking to fill a gap, $5.5 million. So we're looking at some short-term, low interest loans. And of course, we're also applying for grants. We've applied to several grants. We have a few more that we're applying, and hopefully we get those. But those are critical to making sure that it all works out. We have a second site that we've acquired and are also, I'd say, about the same stage as the one on Del Rosa. This site is on baseline, much smaller, 8,500 square feet on grade and 2 stories above that'll produce 12 to 14 units. We've submitted applications to planning, and so we are working through this as well. Generally, we actually have created, we have a couple of funds that are both for accredited investors and non-accredited investors. We are acquiring land undervalued and are able to, again, bring both private and public monies to this. But right now, we have several sites that we control, a couple others that we are negotiating, and one that we're looking at. But again, we've created a model where we can bring in private monies, provide a return, also with a social impact lens to things. We've done, and actually Ruben has been working on our in-plan local economic impact potential. And these numbers are kind of conservative, but $17 million for one of the buildings on Del Rosa. So, yeah, so that's what it is over 3 years. The number that really stands out to me is the public benefit number, because that number includes time not spent in jail, time not spent in hospitals, and time not spent out on the streets. So here's a timeline of where we are. We're right now, right, Q3. Actually, we're now in Q4. We talking with our folks today, basically going to put money down, big money to start the off-site work. So we hopefully we can start on-site stuff. I have it actually listed as first quarter. Actually, it is first quarter per our conversation today that we're looking at breaking ground. But we're looking at a delivery of at least our first building by second quarter of next year. And so, the ask here is a couple, several actually. One is letter of support from the collective. In general, we have a ton of support. As you saw, we have the mayor who supports what we're doing. City council supports what we're doing. We have other nonprofits that support. We have a strong partnership coalition already that is really, not only holding us accountable, but really are critical to making sure that this thing flows the way we want it to. Second is access to donor advised funds. I present basically the same presentation, whether it's to private investors and fund managers, which we do, or elected officials or folks, stakeholders. The presentation is the same, transparent about it, about where we're going for funds. Opportunity zone funds is an avenue that we're approaching as well. But in the private equity space, they were telling me, hey, do you know about DAFs? You need to look into DAFs, right? So the fact that they were doing that, and then, I found out some whys that we can discuss offline. But that's something that we should definitely be looking at. And I believe that IECF, I just saw something that, they just did something with DAF. So that's something. Look, we also need funding. We're $5.5 million short. We have exit strategies and whatnot. Again, that's sort of my background really is in the real estate financing aspect of this thing. And so, but $5.5 million, we're applying for HAP 5 monies. We're applying for, we've got, again, just applications out there. We are looking for sponsors. Again, I mentioned Spectrum is put money towards our tenant or resident resource, all sorts of computers and technology there, right? Free Wi-Fi throughout the building. So we're looking for partnerships like that. And then regional collaboration. Look, I feel we have some liberties because we're not dependent. We're not going after low-income housing tax credit monies. We will look into new market tax credit monies, right? My experience in New York has been with LIHTC, not really with new markets. So that's an opportunity, I think, for us to not just learn, but take advantage of. But we have land, we control land, we own land, in particular, these 9 acres that we can do a lot of different things with, right? So social housing, we're definitely looking at that model already. How we can incorporate that. I was in a conference in Philly last week, learned about what they're doing out there, right, around guaranteed income. We're looking at that for our residents, of course, co-ops, and maybe even, and we've been talking about this internally, is creating micro blue zones, really just being able to monitor, the shipping container farm that will actually produce produce that we can not only use for our commercial kitchens, right, but kind of address the food desert issues that we have out here. And really, the model in my head that we are looking to implement, at least in our first 2 buildings, is where we will have a shipping container in each one, right? Each one focusing on different produce, kind of create our own little food ecosystem, right? And so that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. And so that is I'm ready for, questions and all of that. I'm gonna start sharing right now. But did I lose you? Where are you?
We're here.
I can't see you, but there we go.
Yeah, if anyone has questions, go ahead, come off mute or drop them in the chat.
Yeah, and I can share this presentation. I'll share a link to it right now.
I just want to come in and say, Robert, really excited to hear about all the work that's going to be being done. I love the hyper focus in San Bernardino. I love that it's not just in one concentrated site, but it's all over the city. And I really do like the focus of the youth. I know that I forget his name. I think it's Daryl from the Family Assistance program. I know they have a really big focus on youth, and he always rings the alarm about how our county has no focus on youth sometimes. And so I think this is really, really important. So really great work. Congratulations.
Thank you, Kellen. Appreciate you. Really do. Yeah, I'm excited to do it. And we can talk again offline, Kaylin, about like the strategy that we're using to tap into equity and bring on private equity into this space too. There's right now, right? The opportunity zone 2.0 is huge. That's a huge opportunity for folks to get into, and this ugly bill. There are a couple of things that I've been learning from being in the private equity side, right? That they're taking advantage of and that I know can be applied to what we're doing out here. And there are folks, to my surprise, really folks that the message about social impact, it really resonated. And so that to a lot of folks is important. As much as the returns are, folks are willing to sacrifice returns if they're seeing, this greater benefit, to my surprise. And so I think, that really there's an opportunity there. But in the ugly bill, one of the tools that folks are using is the accelerated depreciation, a bonus depreciation, which essentially allows when you're purchasing real estate, instead of taking depreciation over 27, 15, 27 years, et cetera, you can force, it calls an enforced bonus depreciation, about 15 years, depending on certain items. You can take 15, even the full 27, and take them all in year one. And, I'm not an accountant, but I know that when these folks were talking about it in those rooms, they were very excited about all of, what that meant. And I know that since if we're going to be developing, we can use that, use that to bring those folks into this space without tapping into low-income housing tax credits, right? So, which to me, makes things a lot more expensive sometimes. Any questions?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, this is Miguel Vasquez from the Department of Public Health, Riverside County. My question is related to the last portion that you described in terms of creating, mini blue zones?
Yeah.
Can you expand a little bit of that in more specifically as whether you're working with the Blue Zones project, or is it just an idea and you want to brand it that way? What are your thoughts?
No, so that micro blue zone concept really just came from internal conversations here, right? Of what we're trying to do. And in particular, focused around that 3-acre site where we'll have essentially a community, right? We can sort of insulate that community, if you will, right? Whether definitely with bringing in food or food options, opportunities to create food hopefully we can lock down a healthcare provider, right? We've talked to a couple out there. And so hopefully we can lock something down with them where we can, again, bring that into the space where our residents will have that physical and mental health care taken care of. So that's where the concept comes. Of course, we know that there's stuff going, I mean, big things happening in Riverside, of course, right? And so this is then also my call to folks who are in the space to come and join us and help us, kind of bring this to mind, right? I mentioned at the top that what we're trying to do and what we need to do is think radically different about the way things are being done and have been done. And so, yeah, by no means do I mean any disrespect to all the work in the blue zone, right, space. If anything, we want to emulate and try and, again, we're not going to change all of San Bernardino from day one, but we can definitely control our environment, especially this environment that we're building. And so that includes, I've done work on the commercial brokerage side with a company called Indrio Technologies, who's in Riverside, who's doing some major important work. And so, getting some of their air sensors into our space, right? So that we have live data, real-time data that anyone in the community can source and then, figure out what we do with that, right? But that's sort of where my thinking was going there, Miguel.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think that's the time, right?
Yeah,
But
I was gonna thank you, Robert. I appreciate you coming on and sharing. I've been hearing about the project for a little while and I've been excited to see it gain a lot of momentum and just see the success of it already developing. So if you can put your name and email in the chat, that'd be awesome, as well as the link to your website or to where, folks can follow up and read
yep.
and dive in and learn a little bit more. That'd be helpful. And if there are any follow-up questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat or send them to, Robert directly. We're excited to see the progress with that. And so today is a, affordable housing project day where we get to feature and to learn about projects in both counties. So we appreciate learning about LaunchPad Collective in San Bernardino County. For our second presenter, we have another project, the University Terrace Homes with Riverside Housing Development Corporation, another project. And so presenting, we have Bruce Kulpa, President and CEO, who will be sharing out. And so I'll get the screen ready. I'm gonna pull out the document, the PowerPoint you sent me, or the documents you sent me, Bruce. If you want to jump in and get started, I'll get that up.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Nice to see some familiar faces. And we're working on a project. Well, let me just quickly give you some background on RHDC, Riverside Housing Development Corporation. We've been around since 1991, and we own, operate, or manage approximately 1,300 affordable units throughout the inland area, primarily in Riverside County. And we have, that's a mixture of projects of our own portfolio as well as city and county portfolios on behalf of those entities to do management of their portfolio. So first up here on the screen is the project that we're working on right now. It is University Terrace Homes, also known currently as and is on University Avenue near UCR in the city of Riverside. It is a 114 unit motel currently. It is still in operation right now. They're on University Avenue. And I think one of the number one misconceptions sometimes that I've encountered on this project is that it is not a shelter. When we're dealing with homeless people coming out of homeless populations or backgrounds, that can be a very impacting word to people when you talk about a shelter. So it is plain and simple, affordable housing. These are being converted into studio units. So they're motel rooms. We're adding kitchenettes and other things that are required to make them into studio units. And what this does, the idea is utilizing Home Key Plus funding. And homelessness has been an issue for more than a decade here in Riverside and throughout the Inland Empire. And so what we collectively as a society, as a community, have worked on is a lot of the what I call initial rungs. If you imagine a ladder, the rungs on a ladder, you start out with the bottom rung per se would be somebody who has hit rock bottom and is sleeping on the sidewalk or in the riverbed. They've had an event that happened in their life that has thrown turmoil into their situation, and they've lost their housing. And so we have, again, collectively, a system where there are emergency shelters, there's emergency food. These are rungs on the ladder. There's temporary shelters that you can graduate into. There's group homes that you can graduate into. But the key thing on all of those is they're time limited. This is not time limited. These are apartments, plain and simple apartments, but with the stipulation that it's for people coming out of homelessness to be the primary residents in here. So it's 114 units, as I said, plus 2 staff units. We'll have an on-site manager living on-site maintenance individual living on-site. We also have another maintenance staff and an assistant manager, as well as 6 case managers and an activities director, and we'll have around the clock 24-hour security. So in total, approximately 13 full-time equivalent staff on site for 113 units. So that's only about 9 units per staff member. So it's very highly staffed. We have, again, these are individuals that are coming out of a situation where, having lost their housing, having become homeless, they typically have nowhere to go once they reach the current top rung of the ladder, which is, like I said, time limited, typically to 90 days in the shelter, and then you've got to go. And you can't go back to that shelter situation for a year. So if you're not able to find permanent housing, in this case, permanent supportive housing, during your 90-day stay in the shelter, then you're locked out for a year. You're back on the street for a year. And so that's the major downfall of the system that we have in place, is we don't have a top rung of the ladder. Well, this project is the top rung. And we're seeing this be done in other locations as well. When again, people with dings in their credit, these are some of the obstacles for people who are in the shelter trying to, at 90 days, to try and get housed. Well, they have a lot of cases low income or no income. They may have been evicted from their previous housing situation, and they just can't afford market rates. We all know that's why we're all in affordable housing, right? We know how expensive housing is in our communities. So you have people with a great difficulty to get housed in that 90-day window. And in fact, one of the statistics that I've heard is that about 15%, only 15% of people are able to find housing, permanent housing, when they're in their 90-day cycle in the shelter. So this is meant to address this. that issue. The city of Riverside has a coordinated entry system, has over 300 individuals on that waiting list. This is going to take a third of those individuals off the waiting list and get them into permanent supportive housing. And as part of the housing, as I indicated, we're going to have case managers, 6 case managers on site that will be available to help them with job skills, life skills, getting work, making sure that they're making their medical appointments, just you name it. If they need counseling for a variety of things. What's the difference about this is it's all on site. So we're taking this Quality Inn has a number of meeting rooms, community rooms, and we're adapting those partly, as I said, repurposing some to be like the manager's unit and so forth, but also a good portion to be case managers on-site office. So you'll have you don't have to wait for a roving case manager to come to your property, which is kind of the model of a lot of projects that are like this. You're going to have Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, every day, every weekday, individuals right there on site, your case manager to work with you. And so if we can go maybe to the next slide. Okay, so this is a similar type of project that's in Costa Mesa, and it's one of 3 that the city of Costa Mesa is doing. I believe this is the second of the 3. There's one that's already up and online, and then there's this one that just broke ground, and then there's a third one in planning stages. And you can see on the screen there, it's a good area there. It is, and people are not concerned because you have on-site management just like ours, case managers, supportive housing. And I love what the mayor here is quoted, the Costa Mesa Mayor John Stevens, that this is not a shelter, it's a place where people are getting permanent supportive housing, and we be able to live here as long as they shall live. So again, back to ours, the same model, that it's apartments, it's permanent apartments, it's the top rung of the ladder that's so desperately needed that people can move into. And we have other permanent supportive housing units that we manage. And what we found is when people go through the life experience of becoming homeless and are finally able to reach a point where they're at the top of the ladder and ready to reacclimate and back into society and have their own place to live, they are extremely thankful, extremely grateful to have that opportunity. And when they get that opportunity, if there any issues come up, behavioral or visitors or whatever the case may be, and we go to them and say, you're risking your housing situation that you've worked so hard to get if you don't modify whatever this behavior issue might be. They're all ears because they're thankful to have the housing, thankful to be there, and they'll straighten up whatever the issue is. So again, it's not a shelter, it's just apartments. The area where this is located is a great mixture of commercial development and residential along what's called the University Avenue corridor. There's a specific plan there. They have approximately 1,100 residential units planned for in that area, the bulk of which, majority, about, I think it's 700 or 800, which are already in plan or actually developed and on site. So it's an area where you want, if it's a commercial area, what do you need? You need clients, you need customers that will service and spend money at those places, you also need employees. Well, this project hits both of those. So we have also two in this where we'll have a soft preference for seniors and for veterans. We didn't want to go to a hard preference because then if you for some reason at that moment in time can't find somebody that meets that criteria, you have to leave the unit vacant, which would be a crying shame to have a vacant unit. So and going off again, the coordinated entry system waiting list that the city has, there's a very large component of those people on that waiting list are what would be categorized as seniors, age 55 and above. So if we can go to the next slide. So this is just a location map of an amenity map of the area. And I can tell you, I've been in real estate and banking and affordable housing for 40 years. And in terms of a location for its intended use, this is phenomenal. Phenomenal. I've rarely, if ever, seen a better amenity location map for this. So again, we have a clientele that is coming out of homelessness. Majority of them do not have personal transportation in the form of a car or anything like that. They might have a bike, they might have a scooter, something of that type. But instead, what we have here is a location that is walkable. All of this, the majority of that is within a half-mile of you can see the Quality Inn is the red star in the kind of the center right of the screen. And you've got banking literally right next door so people can, access an ATM. You have bus stops all up and down University Avenue that will take you anywhere in the city. There is, again, within walking distance, health clinics, pharmacies, multiple pharmacies, dental facilities, even a veterinary clinic. A lot of the people typically might have animal companions, dogs, and so forth. You've got a community center, a library, a post office. I mean, it is an incredible location. Some of the pushback that we've heard from some people is they say kind of the typical NIMBY thing, which is, hey, this is great. We love this. This is a fantastic idea. Just put it somewhere else, not in our backyard, not next to our thing. And this is a perfect location with all the amenities within walking distance of the individuals. You're bringing individuals who will spend in the area, who will work in the area if they're given the chance to, depending on their age and their situation and so forth. But many of them will be looking for work. So it's fantastic convergence of programs. You want people to work, you want to boost economic activity, and you want to address the homeless issues that we've all been working towards for many, many years. And again, as we're trying to get this top rung of the ladder, what that does is once these 114 individuals graduate into their own units, that frees up a tremendous capacity within the existing infrastructure of homeless issues. All the other shelters and things are constantly very crowded right now. And this will give openings for people who maybe are shut out because the shelter is full and they're not able to get in there. We do have a very short video that features actual people that are in permanent supportive housing units that we manage currently at other locations. and I'll let you watch that real quick. It's 3 minutes.
Homelessness is just a statistic, but behind every number is a name, a story, and a life worth restoring.
It means that I know at night I'm safe and I don't have to worry about anything, and I could get a good night's sleep.
A sense of security. To have a home versus being homeless, it provides you a major sense of security.
At Riverside Housing Development Corporation, we believe housing is more than shelter. It's the beginning of transformation.
The weight of the world off my shoulders, the ability to breathe, live, and dream, and thrive again.
My life has changed from moving in here. I was able to get some surgery I needed, which has helped me with my physical well-being. I wish people wouldn't be so judgmental about the homeless, because sometimes it is not the person's fault that they became homeless. My story is that I didn't have a rent agreement or anything signed with the person I was renting from, and they only gave me 2 weeks to move out. And how can you find anywhere in 2 weeks? So I wish people would understand it's not always a choice to become homeless.
Doing outreach, we've had people drive up in cars and they would say, hey, you know, get them out of our neighborhood or do something with them and whatnot, and shout things from cars and all that. But as we were building rapport with these people, with our homeless individuals on the street, we heard their story. And if the people in the cars took just a minute to stop and talk to them, they would find out that the gentleman that I was helping actually was born in Temecula. Went to elementary school, junior high, graduated high school, and owned a home 2 blocks from where he was homeless at this time. So they're saying, hey, get that guy out of my city. This is his city. He was born here. He went to school here. He owned property here. And on a downfall, he lost everything, became homeless. And once you build that trust and you can show them a path to recovery, once they see the light and they see that you're there, the gratitude just pours out. And that's one of the reasons why I do it. I mean, not everybody out there wants help, but the ones that do and follow through with it, it's like, you know, that's what we're here for. That's what we do.
I do believe a lot of our clients, when they realize their situation and they understand, or they begin to turn to what's going on in their lives and get serious about it, that's when real positive change happens. So that's as soon as you can get them to realize and understand that, then it's go time, right? Then it's building with them, coming alongside them, and helping them achieve their potential. And you know, if the community can get behind something like that, then everyone can have a place where they can all feel and be self-sufficient. So.
When people are given a safe place to live and the support they need, they begin to heal. To our neighbors and local businesses, thank you for being part of the solution.
Okay, so just kind of wrapping up, summarizing from there, one of the things that they mentioned in the video is not everyone's ready for help. And that's true. And that's not who this project is for. Okay, this is a project for people who have gone through the steps, who have gotten counseling, who have gone through the programs, worked their way up the rungs of the ladder, if you will, and are ready and wanting desperately to get back into their own, you heard them, they want security. They want a roof over their head. I can't imagine myself, you know, sleeping on the sidewalk, how scary the situation is for them on a daily basis. So this is, again, apartments, plain and simple, for people who are ready to graduate back out of homelessness, back into society, and become productive members once again. So we have the status. I'll give you quickly the status on this. We applied to Home Key Plus funding through the state. We're working in partnership with the city of Riverside. Put an application in May. We're waiting to hear back. We're expecting to hear back on that any day now from HCD. And once we hear from that, if it's positive and we get the funding, then it will go to City Council here in Riverside. The total project is approximately $30 million. all of which is outside money. No general fund money for the city is being spent at all. It's all affordable housing monies from the state and from the federal government. It's got HAP money and CDBG and also the Home Key Plus, hopefully. So that's where we're at. Hopefully I covered everything, but I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone might have.
Hey, Bruce, this is David. How you doing?
Hi, Dave. Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I have a couple of questions, and first of all, I want to start with a comment. I was out and I saw the video with Mulberry Village featured in the background with Rose there. I have to say, between the city of Riverside and RHDC, that site has been now managed for 2 years, and it looks better now than when we turned it over to you folks back then. I was out there on site last week, and it looks great. And I just want to compliment RHDC and the city of Riverside in maintaining that project as you have. It looks really nice.
That's very nice to hear.
Now, if they could just get the avocados to grow, I think everyone would be happy up there. But
yeah.
The question I have for you is on the ratio, the supervision ratio. You mentioned 1 to 9, but if it's, and maybe I misunderstood or I misheard, but 114 residents, and you said 6 on-site managers or case managers?
13 total employees.
Oh, 13 employees. Okay, so 13 managing the 114 residents.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. Is that sounds like a better ratio than what was originally presented? Is that correct to the city council?
Yeah, at an earlier council hearing, they asked if we could add another case manager, which we did.
Okay. Also, Bruce, this is Becky. The number isn't 114 that required the support, right? Isn't it a smaller number? 94 are set aside for the permanent supportive housing. So it's really the case managers divided by that smaller number, not the full number of residents.
That's correct. So yeah, there's a couple different ways you could look at it, but yes, so the economics on the project is 94 of those 114 units are for the homeless specifically, and the other 20 units are just income restricted below 50% AMI.
Yeah, that ratio sounds a lot better than what I think was originally discussed at that city council hearing back then. So that's an improvement. The other question I have is on the structure itself, the Quality Inn. Obviously, it's a Quality Inn is a motel, but the plumbing. Now that we're going to be adding kitchens to the units, how is that $30 million project, including a complete replumbing of the entire building?
No, it's not a complete replumbing. There's some replumbing, and then we're upsizing on there's some changes on the sewage side. They're be upsizing some of those lines there.
Yeah, I just just naturally you've got residents now instead of different occupancy levels in a motel that probably wasn't always 100% occupied. That would increase a lot of flow in and out of those units. I didn't know if there was that was included as part of that $30 million for the entire project or not.
Yeah, not a complete replumb, no, but there's some selective plumbing being added and changed, and then the sewage is being upsized.
And just to add, we did the sewer study for the city council and what they brought up at that meeting, David.
Yeah.
Okay. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bruce, there's a question in the comment box about when it's going to city council. I'm sure some folks here would like to speak up in support of the project. I understand that there's a good amount, or there has been, of pushback, as you mentioned, some coming from influential members of the business community on the project, none of whose arguments I think are very well founded. But how can we support your efforts? When's it going to city council? Or are there talking points being distributed?
Yeah, it's going to be going, well, again, it's subject to when we hear back from the state. So we're a little bit in limbo on the exact date. We had penciled in November 4th council meeting, but I think we're running out of time for the notifications and everything in advance of the meeting. So looking like it's going to get pushed to November 18th, assuming, again, that we hear from the state in a positive manner within the next 2 weeks or so. Then it would be November 18th. And yes, we absolutely would love to have as many of you that are able to come in person on that date and stand up for affordable housing. I think this is a incredible project that it's groundbreaking, literally. As I mentioned, Costa Mesa is doing 3 of these. This is really one of the first ones here in Riverside and could be opportunity to do more. But there is some pushback. There is concern from the business community not understanding that these are apartments and they're surrounded by apartments right now. And the only difference is the clientele coming out of homelessness. But we've got, as I mentioned, 6 case managers, a tremendous ratio of 13 total employees. And we've got a track record, been doing this for more than 30 years, affordable housing, property management. I think we're up to the task. Very good partnership that we have together with the city. But we've got to convince the decision makers and need support to come out for that, to rally the troops, so to speak, and get them to vote yes on this important project.
Yeah, I've been in quite a few different conversations about this with the different folks, including some local business owners, and some of the points that have seemed to land the best, so much that they felt like, oh, I could tell somebody else about this and convince them as well, have been that one, the 90 plus individuals that are going to be using the permanent support coming from homeless situation are right now on the street. They're on the street right now, rather than in housing. And they're going to be less, because the concern is nuisance to the neighborhood and whatnot. There's going to be less people homeless in the neighborhood because this opens, where right now they have nowhere to go. The other thing is, it's only going to be improved. The property's going to be improved. The looks of it's going to be improved. The management of it's going to be improved. Having a local manager versus somebody that's probably a distant owner that's just using it to cycle people through. It's already serving as transitional housing in a sense because it's a motel. And a lot of the folks that use that motel, I know for a fact, use it for the first 2 weeks while they have money from their monthly check and then are out on the street the next 2 weeks. That's the way a lot of those motels are used. And so it only is going to improve the neighborhood. It's only going to improve the situation for the businesses around. There's really no downfall to it. So those points, for whatever it's worth, have landed with folks and are factual.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I hope you're able to come on the day of and speak in favor. We need many voices,
Yes.
because they are hearing a lot of voices from the business side. And as I've said, the business owners are fearful of the unknown. This is the way that I kind of read the situation. Again, initially, some of the things that they were stating that they were concerned about was that it was a shelter. That's not true. And number 2, they said they had heard or were under the belief that residents would have a 1-year limit and then they'd be turned out. That's not true either. It's permanent. The word permanent is in there for a reason. Supportive housing. It's apartments for people. And as I mentioned, we have other units throughout the area. Many of those people have been there for years and years and years. From the moment that they got into that unit, they haven't left. Now, ideally, maybe people can move up economically and move on and up and out. That would be a great result. But a lot of the people are just happily housed. They're no longer on the sidewalk and on the street. And, so.
Yes. Thank you, Bruce, for sharing. And that's, that's one of the benefits and tools of being a part of the collective and presenting in this space and being a part of the work is our ability to show up for housing and support and to move the dial and the impact of affordable housing in our region. So if there's, feel free to let me know when it goes to council. And even to provide, if you can, a few talking points, like bullet points would be helpful. So if folks can't make it, they could send an email in, and they kind of have a point of reference too. That's really beneficial too. So, I appreciate both our presenters today, Robert and Bruce, and for coming and sharing. This is great work, what you guys are doing, and there's so many others in the space that are also doing that. And so we like to see when there's wins and innovation and success in our region. So, we're all supporting you guys and everyone else who does this work. So right now, this last 20-30 minutes of our meeting, we pivot to just some general updates of the pillars of our working pillars. And so as we do that, I wanted to, I'll call on any chairs that are here present, and if not, I could fill in for those for any pillar chairs that aren't here to provide just a quick update on what's happening. And then the last 5-10 minutes, we'll see if there's any updates from just anyone else, anything going on in the region that we should know about. So Ayako, would you be okay? Could you jump off? Can you jump into that and start with expansion of housing solutions?
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. Ayako Tsumi here. I'm a vice chair with Mary Erickson Community Housing, but I'm also vice chair of Inland SoCal Housing Collective, and I head the expansion of housing pillar solutions group. We meet the second Thursday of every month at 9 a.m. Again, that's second Thursday of the month, 9 to 10 a.m. We discuss homeless housing solutions, everything up through home ownership opportunities that are affordable for our families in the Inland Empire. This year, we're trying to focus more on middle housing. So we'll just simply define that as anything above 1 unit, so 2 units up through what we might consider multifamily. So 2 to, depending on who you talk to, maybe 8 to 16 units. So just these smaller infill type opportunities. We know that every city in the IE owns these smaller lots that really don't make sense for a larger multifamily project, but they could be developed into ownership or smaller multifamily. So we know that we've been in touch with the City Lab that's out of UCLA. They conducted a design contest and invited anyone, even students, to design something that's obviously cost effective, energy efficient, and beautiful that could fit on an average small lot that's urban infill. And so they awarded several dozen designs. And then the next phase is to then invite developers or even, general contractors who might be willing to, at market, not necessarily publicly subsidized, but build these beautifully designed infill housing opportunities, rental or ownership throughout the city. So we know that we can learn so much in the IE right? From the work that's being done in LA, we can adapt it for IE's needs. So we want to continue to follow what they're doing and then make it better for the IE. So we're keeping tabs on that. If you're interested in that kind of work, please do join us. We also, through Melanie, I'll let Melanie talk about the faith and housing opportunity that I believe was on November 5th. I'll let Melanie talk about that one.
Yeah, and I could jump in. I was gonna do that in partnership with the wealth building pillar.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah, and so if you want to finish up, I'll segue into that and drop the links in as you're finished.
Oh, sure, perfect. Then the other middle housing opportunity we're keeping tabs on is with the city of Riverside. I see Agrippina Newbauer on the call. There may be someone else, but the city received a SCAG grant. Again, thanks to Damien and other people on this call for the city to, again, come up with several pre-approved designs on small lots that could at market rate, not necessarily publicly subsidized, be built for either ownership or rental in the city of Riverside. Probably more on the rental side, it sounds like, but again, being creative with what assets that we do have. We have a lot of publicly owned and privately owned small lots. What can we do with them and make more affordable housing or even market rate housing, but at least make it more affordable market rate housing. So different ways to expand housing out in the IE. Thanks, Mel. Back to you.
Yeah, and so for I'll touch base on our wealth building and preservation pillar, as well as our Bank on Coalition. So in this last month, we were talking about the Faith, Finance, and Homeownership Summit, which will be happening November 5th. This is in partnership with credit.org, as well as the National Foundation of Credit Counseling. What we're doing is we're working with our local faith partners in San Bernardino and Riverside County to hold a two-part session, a summit. The morning is intended for our faith leaders in the area, for them to come attend and learn about the different financial tools that are available. This whole event was kind of organically formed when we were talking about SB4 building on faith-owned land, and some of the leaders in our area were saying, you know, we also struggle with some folks from our community, congregation, neighborhood coming to us and saying, where do I go when I find a place to bank? Or where can I go to learn how to buy a house? Or, you know, raising up all these housing and finance questions to them. And our faith leaders expressed the need to learn about this. They didn't feel confident in making recommendations or referrals or talking to them about folks in their community about this. And so that's where that partnership came from. And from that came this event as an effort to provide an overview of the resources available. We'll be talking about banking, we'll be talking about budgeting, we'll be talking with HUD certified counseling agencies. And then lastly, we're also going to be talking about estate planning and heirs property, because what they found is many of folks within their community or congregations their parents had built generational wealth, and didn't know the process of putting it into putting it into a trust and passing down that generational wealth. And so a lot of these homes were put into probate, displacing a lot of families that were living there, taking care, and just really losing a lot of generational wealth that's been built. So the morning is intended for our faith leaders. The afternoon is intended for our stakeholders, partners such as you all. I dropped the link in here, and that's directly to our website where you can register if you'd like to attend. If you know of any faith religious leaders that want to attend, please send them the information to register. So this is live. It'll be on November 5th. And this is in partnership with credit.org, NFCC, the Bank on Coalition, which is a part of the collective, as well as Hispanic Lifestyle. We'll be there doing some recording and media and stuff for that. In our Bank on Coalition, Ayako, did you have something?
I did, but finish your thought. I just remembered a couple more
Okay, awesome.
Go ahead and
With
finish.
with the Bank on Coalition, that meeting got moved to this coming Tuesday. So it'll be October 21st at 10 a.m. We will be talking about some matchmaking partnerships. So looking at partnering some organizations that are looking to increase access to safe banking, as well as some of our banking partners. So doing some what we're calling matching in this meeting, a new kind of exercise that will be implemented into this meeting, as well as announcing any new accounts that have been added or accredited as Bank on certified products. Go ahead, Dayako. I'm done with that.
Great, thanks, Mel. I'm back with expansion of housing solutions. So I did also want to mention on the middle housing side that we have a number of developers on the call that are looking at building smaller homes, or we might call them tiny homes, but for sale, not just rental. But the financing lending community is not quite, hasn't kept up with, well, how do you sell a tiny home in terms of square footage, lending, appraisals, that type of thing. So the other part of what we'd like to do is some advocacy to, as a collective, some advocacy with the powers that be to say, can the lending community, Fannie, Freddie, et cetera, adjust their regulatory requirements to actually, in a meaningful way, value, appraise, and create mortgage products for tiny homes. Also, we have an issue with small lots, like splitting lots, using the state's SB 9 as taking a single family lot and splitting it. We're finding that a number of our city planning departments have not had the opportunity to receive education about how to rezone, plan, provide city planning services around this new typology of housing. So we're looking at the possibility of either trying to raise money so that we might pay the Casita Coalition, who offers this kind of training, bring this to the IE so that our planning departments can learn and grow and adopt these new typologies, or some other way to do that. So we're looking at how can we expand this middle housing typology through the IE. So that's another way. Also, I wanted to share a little bit about another housing alternative, which is shared housing. I see Don Smith on the phone. He has his organization is expanding shared housing for focused on formerly homeless people. But we also have shared housing for non-homeless people. That would be people who are perhaps on the lower incomes, middle or lower income scale, that have a house and need a little bit of cash to survive, or maybe they could open up a bedroom for rental, these kinds of things. Again, taking what assets we have, empty bedrooms, some empty homes, and can we make them available in a way that's meaningful and affordable? So AB Assembly Bill 474 was on the governor's desk a couple weeks ago by Assemblymember Ward. This particular bill was just trying to make it easier for people to owners to have, in a meaningful way, invite people to rent a room from them. So if I'm a woman and I really only want a woman to live in my home, I should be able to select that because that's common sense. It's not that I'm discriminating against a man using fair housing laws, but really that it makes more sense for me. So it's these kinds of things that we really need to memorialize in legal language so that we don't put anyone, we don't violate civil rights, but we also make home sharing or shared housing a more viable option. Right. So we're hoping to work with UC Berkeley and a few other organizations like Leading Age California to rewrite this bill and then perhaps in the next legislative session get it passed. So we will be keeping tabs on this, and we would love, again, for the collective, you all to, again, review this updated legislation and determine if we would be willing to support that either as a collective or as your individual organization. So we'll be bringing that to you as well. But lots of things happening around. Yes, we need to build, but there are other assets and other alternatives that we're exploring. Thanks.
Thank you, Ayako. And so lastly, just a quick update from our Educate and Advocate for Public Policy pillar. And I know I have some members, some pillar members on this call, so feel free to jump in and add anything that I might have overlooked. In our past meeting, we had intended to review, hoping that Newsom would have signed and reviewed the housing package, but that didn't happen. And so we were able just to level up some singular bills that we were tracking, that we knew that were vetoed or we knew that had passed. And so in our next meeting, we will review and go more in depth of any of those that have moved forward that we've been tracking and following. We also talked about power building. So we've established kind of an Excel document that we're trying to leverage with our elected officials. And we're doing that to help the greater policy pillar understand where different folks are connected in the region to the local electives, what conversations, what topics resonate with them in order for us to have more thoughtful conversations and to leverage the strength of the collective in these housing conversations. Lastly, we've had, Ayako briefly touched on it, Casita Coalition is becoming more involved in our space. And so there is a conversation around AB 1033, which the city of San Jose just passed and implemented, which is the split lot, using SB 9 to split lot and AB 1033 for purchase. And so they're really looking at how to build that capacity in the IE. And so they're joining our space, and that will be something that we will continue to talk about over the next couple months, maybe even year, as we build out a strategy behind that to leverage that here in the IE. And so that pillar on our Educate and Advocate for Public Policy, we meet on the first Tuesday of every month at 9 a.m. on Zoom. And so if anyone is interested in joining that conversation, please let me know, put your email in the chat, or if there's any pillars you want to join, please do so. Go ahead and add that in the chat and I can make sure that you're connected, and I will forward the calendar invite to you all. Is there anything I missed? If not, I'd love to open this last 7 or 8 minutes to just anyone in the space, any general members to share out, announce anything that's happening, anything that needs to be leveled up or amplified in our region. Just go ahead and unmute yourself and jump in. All right. Well, I hope everything is going well. Damien, I'm sorry, I saw you come off mute. Was there something you were going to add?
Yeah, I just feel like I've talked a lot, but this is it's a really important point for, especially for anybody that has any connection at all with any GOP lawmakers, but also with lawmakers on the Democratic side at the federal level. Very concerning proposals coming forward for cuts at the HUD level to PSH funding. So we were just talking about getting a PSH housing program built, and HUD is considering a 30% cut to PSH funding for projects that are currently receiving PSH funds. So it means people that are currently in permanent supportive housing could lose their coverage if they move this forward. So we need to amplify the concern about that. The reason that we have PSH and the folks that live in them are in most cases not able to live on their own without that support. It's a needed service. It's not somebody that's just taking from the system, but that's how it's being proposed. That the government doesn't want to be in the business of permanently housing people. They want people to move up and out, but that's just misinformed in terms of the population that it's serving. Many of whom would otherwise be in mental health facilities and supported in that way if we had them to support them that way. So please reach out to your representatives.
Yes, I'm adding that to make sure we include a portion of our policy pillar meeting in that so we could recommend some talking points too if folks haven't yet reached out.
Melanie?
Yeah.
Just a quick clarification. Damien said they're talking about a 30% cut. What they're actually talking about is cutting it to 30%. Currently, PSH funding out of the COC cover is 87%, not PSH, but permanent housing resources is 87%. They want to cut that down to 30%, essentially gutting the permanent housing effort being funded through the COC. Over 200,000 people across the nation will lose their housing. We'll be going backwards in addressing homelessness, not forwards.
I just wanted to give a little update real quick that Rialto is accepting comments and feedback on their draft housing element plan, which just as an FYI, if anybody's interested.
Awesome. Thank you. I do know there's a couple of town halls going on too, so keep an eye out that in your local area. I know there's in Rancho Mirage, Senator Ochoa Bogue hosting a insurance town hall. And so I know there's been some discussions with a couple of folks out in that area of attending, and so if that's something that you guys want to talk about, to share, I know there could be a lot more support added there, especially when we're talking about insurance and building and the effects that we're seeing. So anyone else?
Melanie, hey, it's Heather Sanford from Mission Hope down here in Temecula. For on a micro scale, everyone who's the praying type, pray, because we have our gala tomorrow. So pray we raise $1 billion and can solve our own little miniature housing crisis right down here in Southwest Riverside County. Thanks.
Awesome. Well, good luck. I look forward to hearing about the success of it. Well, I thank you everyone for coming. I appreciate your time. And so we'll give you 2-3 minutes back. But if you have anything, I'll hang out for a couple minutes if anyone wants to talk about anything. But until next month or in some of our pillar meetings, I'll see you all soon. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Good
you.
meeting.
Mhm.